Hey guys, my name is James Pavlich. Today I'm going to show you how to cook oven braised short ribs. Sounds super fancy, but I promise it's actually very doable. Even if you don't cook much, short ribs are one of those foods that feel like a restaurant level comfort food for a lot of people. They're rich, tender, and basically fall apart with a fork when they're done right. The cool part about braising, it's a low stress cooking method. It's mostly about patience, not perfection, so that's good news. By the end of the presentation, you'll know what braising actually means, the basic steps to cook short ribs in the oven, and why this method turns a tough cut of meat into something incredibly tender. So let's get into it. So this is going to be our short rib. Short rib, as you can tell, obviously it's going to be short. Not a big piece of meat, but sometimes they have it at the store. Uh, there's usually about four or five in it, um, somewhere around like $4.99 a pound. So not bad at all. Um, what we're going to be doing with this portion of it is we're actually going to put it into our Dutch oven. So our Dutch oven is going to be on high heat before we put our short ribs in. Um, but before we get into that, let's talk about what braising is. Braising is a cooking method where food is seared at a high temperature and then cooked slowly in a liquid. So that's our thermometer. We're gonna have it gonna get seared. Let's see here. Okay. Cool fact about short ribs. They come from the hard working part of the cow, which makes them tough. But when you cook them low and slow, the connective tissue actually breaks down into the gelatin, which makes the meat juicy and tender. All right, so for our second step, this is what we're going to do. First, you start with your short ribs, pat them dry with a paper towel. Some people use flour before they sear them to take like all the moisture off. I just pat them dry. And then we're gonna season them with salt, pepper, and a couple other seasonings of your liking. It kind of just depends what you want to put on it. Um, but it's gonna help build up the flavor from the inside out. Okay, so next we're gonna put our Dutch oven on high heat before we put them in. Uh, Usually just on the stove top with a little oil. We're gonna sear the ribs on all sides until they're nicely browned. Uh, this is where your kitchen starts smelling amazing and you feel like you know what you're doing, even if you don't cook that often. After the ribs are brown, take them out and set them aside in a pot. In the same pot, add onions, I add carrots, and then I also add bay leaves to mine. Um, You're going to cook the vegetables until they're softened. This is called building a flavor base. Um, and then sometimes you can put like a Italian, I think it's called a Italian mesh. It's going to be your parsley, thyme, and then rosemary. Then after all that, we're going to add our liquid. Most recipes call for beef broth and sometimes red wine. The liquid should never come about halfway up the ribs, not fully covering them. Uh, Fun fact: the combination of steam, heat, and liquid is what keeps the meat moist while it cooks for a long time. Once the ribs go back in, bring everything to a gentle simmer. Okay, now for the easiest part. We're going to cover the pot with a lid and place it in the oven around 300 to 325. The ribs are going to cook for about 2.5 to 3 hours. This is where the patient pays off finally. You're not flipping or stirring constantly, just letting the oven do its thing. This is the kind of meal you kind of want to make on like a lazy weekend where y'all are just sitting around, everybody's having fun. Wintertime is usually whenever I like to make it. Okay. Also remember time is going to be on your side. Um, the longer that you're going to let it stay in the oven, the more tender the meat's going to come out. So keep it in there for a while. Don't be afraid to don't check on it or anything. Everything's fine. As the ribs cook, the meat becomes tender enough to pull apart with a fork. The liquid turns into a rich sauce. Something that I like to do with the sauce after we're pulling it out is I'll take some of the broth or the braising liquid, as we were calling it earlier. I'll put it in a pan and then I will add flour to it to thicken it up. And then we'll add heavy whipping cream. This is our flour that we would use. We would have some mushrooms in here also. Um, I sometimes use them in the sauce. More than likely, I would use them in the sauce. Okay, so the sides that you can make for this, kind of up to you, but the way that I like to serve it is either with mashed potatoes or rice. Basically, anything that can soak up the sauce, um, so you can enjoy it with all your sides. I also added some broccolini to just add some color to the plate. Then you should be ready to put everything together and serve it to your guest in a presentable way. Now it is time to eat. And this is actually the one that I made. Um, just to give a quick critique to myself, I should have put the sauce on the bottom underneath the mashed potatoes so you could actually see the braised rib. And then these are all my vegetables that were still in. Just decided to put that on the pot or on the plate and my broccolini. So hopefully by the end of this video, I've helped you on how to make an oven braised short rib. This is one of our staples at our house for the future, and I hope it will become a staple in yours. Thanks. Goodbye.